I grew up listening to all like old pop and rock and stuff. Beach Boys, the early Beatles, always the pre-drug Beatles. I never got it. But my parents didn't have too many records. You know, there was Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell was a big one. My mom liked Simon and Garfunkel and all that stuff. And then when I was in high school, I was a punker kid. There was a good punk scene where I came from. So I went through that, and then I found Bob Dylan and the Beatles, and then I just started searching from there, and then I found, Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin and real rock and roll bands, and then still been finding them. We started purely as to have a fun time and play rock and roll. We were in other bands that toured together, and we lived close to each other. Me and Jer were just drinking buddies, and Jer and John had been friends for a while, and they'd always wanted to be in a band together. And we had a summer off back about 4 summers ago, and with basically our bands weren't playing a lot, and so we just got together for fun. And then here we are 4 years later. It kind of grew to something else. Man, rock and rolls, I don't know, we try to get into just living the rock and roll. We love that music so much, and we listen to it all the time, and we're so into the history of those bands and stuff. So I guess we just try to embody all that stuff in our kind of way. That, I will find myself every day watching the old documentaries. I watched a Queen one the other day, watched a Grand Funk Railroad one, and I just love the stories. I love the history of the whole, how music has grown, and pop music, the history of it and all. And so we just try to do that, our best version of all that. I think a lot of it comes from just sitting around and playing riffs, playing along to those old songs that we like. Jer and John write a lot of the riffs that we build the songs around. So, and that's what they do for fun. That's what they do. You wake up in the morning, get a coffee, and sit with the guitar, and then go to practice later in the day and say, hey guys, I got this riff, and we pick out what we like about it and build a song from there. And the loudness comes from, we just love those old tones from those great old amplifiers, and so we just try to make the sounds like the old guys did and turn it up loud. It's pretty eclectic. There's a lot of different kinds of bands. It's got a real indie vibe to it. There's a distribution company, also a record label called Sonic Onion, that they did really well back in the 90s distributing a lot of the California punk bands and stuff like that, and not just the punk stuff, but independent music from all over the place. And so that really seeped into the fabric of the Hamilton people and the vibe and our scene. So, there's bands like the Arkells are from Hamilton, Young Rivals from Hamilton, The Reasons from Hamilton. All those bands have a kind of an indie vibe, but they got their own thing as well. It's cool because there's a lot of people who are just artistic and all about expressing themselves. The art scene itself is really good in Hamilton. So you mix all that stuff together, and everyone's got their own kind of thing, but when you kind of feed off each other, So I never really thought about it too much. You kind of hope for stuff like that, but I mean, my old band was nominated a couple times and we're such a long shot and everything, so I kind of got a sense of what it was and knew that we weren't there. And then with Monster Truck, things really happen, and you get nominated and you wonder, okay, cool, is this different than last time? And I guess it was. I mean, everything else feels different to me. The band feels really natural. So, yeah, winning a Juno is just like surreal. It felt like a dream when it happened. If it was like the next day when I woke up, it was like something that happened when I was sleeping, Yeah. Jeez, I still don't even know if we have. Like making it is so circumstantial, and what's your impression of it? I mean, we're getting new opportunities in America and Europe. Like, we got a couple tours in Europe, but we've never been there, so we don't even know what it is. So we've done well in Canada, and we're really happy and thankful for it, but we're just going to try to employ that method everywhere else. So, we're trying to make it in other places now, so we feel real determined right now. A little bit, just because of budget and having a record label and all that stuff. But we used our same producer. We actually we went down and recorded with a different producer at a different studio, and it didn't work out. So we went back to what we knew, and that's why it came out like it did. I think opening for the big bands has got to be the really ones that stick out the most. We played with Guns N' Roses a couple times recently, and one of them was at a big festival in Quebec City where there was 80,000 people there. So we played to about 25 or 30, and that's the biggest crowd I've ever played to in my life, and definitely the biggest one for this band. So that was pretty surreal. But when we got to open for Deep Purple, that as well, they invited us to their dressing room and hung out and chatted with us, and touring and meeting Slash and becoming friends with him and his band. That's pretty memorable. Alice in Chains, the same thing. Those guys were really nice, took us under their wing, and were just really genuinely friendly to us. So that stuff really sticks with you. Yeah. Man, you just got to follow your heart. You can't look at the trends and try to be something. Whenever you're trying to do something, you're not actually doing it. So our philosophy was never to get on the radio or to tour the world or anything. Those possibilities came along eventually. We just did what felt right to us, and people responded to it. So I don't know. I could say follow your heart and follow your own way, but I mean, that's a different thing to everybody else. So I would just say, stay true to yourself. It's just a little piece of string on the cosmic journey, right? It's, who knows? Is this the only life? Is it one big long thing? I don't know. We're still figuring all that humanity stuff out. They uncover new things every day that change the definition of life. So I don't know. I'm just trying to be good to people and be good to myself and hope good things happen, but understand that the bad things are going to happen too, and you just got to balance it. So